everybody, on this historic day. Friday, August 15th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Trump and Putin meeting in Alaska. Odd place to meet, but hey, what the hell? They're gonna be talking some ceasefire stuff. They're gonna be figuring out what all is happening with this war and how we bring it to an end. We've got photos. Do we have it? Yeah, but here we go. Here we go. We are awaiting any sort of movement. It seems like they're hanging out on their planes right now. So they're hanging out on their planes right now. They should be getting off any minute. It looks like someone is getting off the plane at this right now. Actually, you know what? Let's see what all is happening here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's make this a little smaller. Yes, Trump and Putin meeting in Alaska to talk ceasefire stuff. I can't wait to see what comes of this. It's going to be happening over the course of the next several hours, so make sure you guys keep it locked in here for all of the updates. Keep it locked in, rumble.com/LFATV. I know Pete's going to go through and do it, I'm sure. I'm sure Pete's going to throw to it. I'm sure Drew is going to throw to it as well. Hopefully we can get some real ceasefire talks here in the Russia-Ukraine war. Number one, I want to see people stop dying. Number two, I want to see us stop paying for it because I'm sick and tired of paying for all of this crap. But there is news coming throughout the day as well. Tom Homan has a stark warning for Zoran Mandami about stopping ICE. Gavin Newsom is big mad because somebody sent him a Trump 2028 hat in the mail. I've got a little surprise for Governor Newsom. That's going to be absolutely hilarious. Adam Schiff is urged to leave the Senate following all of his insane allegations about Russiagate and mortgage fraud. And Steve Kornacki does a good breakdown of the Texas redistricting. We're going to bring you guys all of that as we rock, as we roll today. Do me a favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Share it out. We are rocking. We are rolling here. Guys, before we get started, do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on over here. Let's pop this live chat up onto the screen. Say hello to everybody. Let's say hello to everybody right here. Very, very good. Very, very good. We're at number 10 right now. RSBN is, oh, the hell with them. The hell with them. We're rocking. We are rolling here. Let's see, who do we got in here? Who do we got in here? Bad Moon, what is happening? What is happening? Bobby Driver. Papa Bear, how are you? How are you? Michael Giordanella, how are you? Watch Howard. Love Howard Beach. Love Howard Beach. Check New Park Pizza, best pizza in New York, hands down. Beth, what's happening? Darlene, hello, hello. Trump and Putin are in Alaska. Yes, they are. We are going to bring you guys all of the updates from that throughout the day today. The meeting is supposed to go on between 3 and 5, so, who the hell knows when we're going to get a press conference. In the words of Bill O'Reilly, and we will do it live. We shall do it live. Trump was speaking on the plane this morning on his way to Alaska about the idea of a ceasefire. Here was President Trump.
What will make a success of this summit today?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. There's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do. But they're going to be involved in the process, obviously, as will Zelensky. But I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. We're not putting up any money. We're making money. They're buying our weapons, and we're sending them to NATO, and NATO's sending us big, beautiful checks. But I don't care about that. I care about, it was a big factor when Biden spent $350 billion and got nothing. But what I do care about is they lost last week 7,011 people. were lost. Almost all soldiers. 36 people in a town which got hit by a missile, but over 7,000 soldiers. It's crazy.
It is wild. It is wild the amount of damage this war has done. Even more wild than that is watching Democrats pretend that this is some sort of a bad thing, that President Trump attempting to stop this war is a problem. Well, let's see. What do we got here? What do we got to do? We got some movement on up front. Here we go. Here's President Trump.
Into this.
Here we go, Andrew.
Here we go.
So we are now seeing President Trump come down the steps here, and it looks like moments away from President Putin. We are going to keep an eye on this. I just want to go out full right now. I'll keep an eye on the other shot here, but we want to take out full right now. President Trump coming down the steps of Air Force One, and really the pressure that must be mounting on his shoulders, not only for the U.S. side, but really for the representation of Ukraine as well, coming down and trying to get some sort of deal done, or even just the working. So now here we go of President Putin coming down as well. Let's show you the side-by-side right now, Andrew. What a moment right here of the two leaders coming. President.
As we watch history here, President Trump and Vladimir Putin meeting on some kind of a red carpet, which it's kind of weird, but what the hell? What's the difference? Let's get back to the feed.
And flanked by his security team, what would be his Secret Service for Russia now coming. And let's go now back out to President Trump as well, making his way and alone right now as he's stepping forward. Ultimately, they will come down near this side and meet at the center of the tarmac right now. And President Putin coming closer as well. And here we go. President Trump now waiting for the Russian president to come. We will see what the body language is in just moments, Andrew. I'm now going to just bring up the audio as well to see if we could hear anything when President Putin and President Trump come. You see President Trump now clapping for President Putin, who is coming his way straight ahead right now. Let's watch and see. So many times, the small talk as we see so many times, the small talk from President Trump already starting with President Putin. They've said some words already. A warm handshake started this summit off right now in Alaska. There was just a flyover. We just didn't get to see it there, but there was a flyover that just happened moments ago. And now they are posing here for pictures.
President, what's your message to Vladimir Putin? Mr. Putin, did you underestimate Ukraine? President Putin, will you stop killing civilians? President Putin, how can the U.S. trust your word?
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Let's go around the press. Come on, guys. White House staff.
Alrighty, we will continue to monitor that as they get into They get into the car, whatever the hell that is. They get into the vehicle. Let's pop this back up here. Here I am.
President Trump and Putin together.
Yep, so they met on the tarmac in what will be considered an iconic image if they are able to stop this war. And hopefully they are able to do so. Hopefully they're able to figure out what's best for everybody here. And look, for all the Ukraine hawks out there, people are not going to get everything that they want in this situation. They're just not going to. Ukraine's not going to get everything they want. Russia, who is obviously the aggressor, is not going to get everything they want. I'm sure Democrats will not get everything they want. It seems to me that many Democrats online right now, many of the online influencers, are more excited about spicy social media posts than they are about ending the conflict. I'll be honest with you. I don't really care if the Donbass region and Luhansk is part of whichever country. I want people to stop dying. But it seems as though some Democrats online would rather have more people dead if they could come up with spicier social media posts. We will keep you informed throughout the day of what's happening. I'm sure there will be a press conference at some point today between the leaders of the two nations. Trump set to hold a historic summit with Putin in Alaska. This from Fox News. The president will travel to Anchorage, Alaska on Friday morning to meet with Vladimir Putin, which is somewhat in the middle of Washington, D.C. and Moscow. The high-stakes meeting is the first U.S.-Russia summit since June of 21, which was under former President Joe Biden. This summit came just 8 months before Putin invaded Ukraine, which, of course, is the one thing that President Trump has repeatedly talked about, the fact that Putin met with Joe Biden and then realized that there wasn't a damn thing that the Americans were going to do about it. There wasn't a damn thing we were going to be able to do to stop their invasion if they wanted to do so. So we will wait and see what all comes of that. He's saying, I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both Putin and Ukraine. I'd like to see a ceasefire, Trump continued. I'd like to see the best deal that can be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango. However, the president threatened severe consequences for Russia if Putin does not agree to an end to the war after the Friday meeting. Additionally, while all eyes are on the summit between Putin and Trump said the more important thing will be the second meeting that we're having. We're having a meeting with Putin, Zelensky, and myself, and maybe we'll bring some of the European leaders, but maybe not. It's going to be very important. We're going to see what happens, and I think President Putin will make peace. The day before the summit, Trump predicted that his meeting with Putin had about a 25% chance of failing outright, and said that the hope is to push for a second meeting between Putin and Zelensky. Zelensky is not going to be part of the summit today, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said. Trump was agreeing to the meeting upon Putin's request. So it seems as though Vladimir Putin has decided to meet with President Trump. Let me pull this up real quick. Putin seems to want something to happen. Or else why would he be calling the meeting with Trump? I remain optimistic. I don't think anybody wants war. And President Trump, better than anybody, knows, and this has been a key indicator of how you stop a war. When everyone is making money, people don't want to kill each other. A universal truth. But some people just can't handle that. Some people just can't. And the amount of irresponsibility I've seen from online influencers and Democrats over the course of the last, 36 hours has actually been quite nauseating. Nancy Pelosi, for her part, in her drunken, I don't even know what you would call it, her drunken nonsense, said that she still believes that Putin has something on President Trump. She still believes that. Despite all of the evidence to the contrary, here was our drunk former Speaker of the House.
Well, let's hope, but he said he was going to end it one day. He hasn't done that. But again, we want the people of Ukraine, and we commend them for fighting for democracy, and in fighting for their democracy, they're fighting for ours as well. They are fighting for democracy writ large. It's taken a long time. And he said he was going to do it in one day. It's been, 100, whatever, how many days. He hasn't done it yet. I'm disappointed that he has not continued the military assistance, because that has been a problem for the Ukrainians. But I wish him well on that. I don't trust Putin at all. I don't know what Putin has on the president, that he's coming to Alaska. They shouldn't be going to Alaska. Russia claims Alaska. Russia claims Alaska. But nonetheless, it's happening. We hope it'll be successful. But there's one thing more I want to say about this. I followed this. I was the first official of America to go to Ukraine after Russia invaded a while ago.
Nobody cares, drunk lady. Also, she doesn't understand why they met in Alaska. Because it's in the middle. I mean, that seems to be a fair reason. Hey, where do you want to meet? Let's meet in the middle. By the way, Russia doesn't claim Alaska. Also, and this is a more important point, Nancy, since your party is the party of let's give all the land back to the people who were once there in the first place, based on your own logic, we should give Alaska back to Russia. I don't know. That's based on ridiculous democratic logic. Make sure you idiots cut that one for all the idiots watching this show. The people who don't like me, which there are plenty of them. There are absolutely plenty of them. But let's move on to the breaking news of the day, because there is a boatload of that. Yesterday, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was big mad. Big mad. And why was Gavin Newsom big mad? Well, it turns out, in addition to getting ready to run for president of the United States, apparently one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters sent him a gift in the mail.
About the fact that we're affirming our independent commission, and we're calling for a national independent commission as well. Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. And they'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. Said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. He doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. It's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
Wake up, America. Wake up. Well, Gavin Newsom is big mad because one of Donald Trump's supporters sent him a Trump 2028 hat in the mail. Well, it would be a shame if somebody had an envelope and a Trump 28 hat and went to the post office immediately following this show. It would be a real shame if that happened. It'd be also a real shame if everybody just went and got their Trump 28 hats and sent them over to Sacramento, sent them over to the Capitol. Let me leave that to the side. Make sure I send that over to Gavin Newsom. But he was also big mad because it turns out that there were a bunch of ICE agents. Turns out there were a bunch of ICE agents outside of his press conference, which would make a lot of sense, considering Gavin Newsom only does things in cities, and that's where there are the most illegal immigrants. And liberals were having a meltdown on television over it.
Could impact national policy going forward.
Congressman, I also want to ask you about something that the governor's office put on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, which was video of Border Patrol agents outside the event that the governor held with the state's senators and other lawmakers. What's your reaction to the Border Patrol having a large presence outside of that event?
I mean, pretty outrageous, but we already know that Donald Trump is obsessed with having his own personal police force that he can control. I mean, for years, Donald Trump, even when he was president the first time, has tried to get police departments and other law enforcement agencies to do what he wants. Now he's forcing it. Now he's using and activating National Guard units. He's sending out Border Patrol agents to do other types of routine police work. He's putting together other law enforcement agencies and sending them out to do deportations, oftentimes against people with no criminal record and oftentimes against students or U.S. citizens. And so to do this kind of show that he's trying to do, which actually ends up harming people, is all about him just trying to enforce his authoritarian vision, the way he wants to control law enforcement. So I think it's pretty outrageous that he continues to use the military and law enforcement for these actions. That was clearly a way of trying to show force against what Governor Newsom is doing. That we're not going to be intimidated. People are demanding that Donald Trump pull back on his efforts, not just here in California, but of course.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't. Actually, people love what's happening. People love what's happening. Of course, the rich people in California don't love it because, look, whoever the hell that was, he doesn't want to have to raise his own children. But people like what's happening. And it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch people still freak out about this. Freak out about this. And for the same people that are going out of their way to say that we will not allow this to happen, people like Zoran Mondani, well, Tom Homan's got a warning for them.
Great to see you this morning, Tom. Thanks for being here. So this discovery yesterday in Manhattan comes on the heels of a fiery speech by leading New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, saying if elected, he will not allow ICE agents into New York City at all. What's your message to him? But more importantly, the people of New York, what happens if he becomes mayor?
Well, he can't stop ICE from doing their job. I mean, it's ridiculous even him to say that. I mean, we're all over New York City. We've increased resources in New York City. We're going to continue to increase resources in New York City. I said weeks ago we're going to flood the zone in New York City. We've already increased staffing there, and there's more staffing to come. So we're going to keep doing our job in New York City despite him or anybody else. They're not going to stop the Trump administration from arresting public safety threats, national security threats in this country illegally. So it's just, say what he wants, but I tell you this, you better not get in our way. There's a line you can't cross. So he can sit there and yell and scream all he wants, but he's not going to stop us. He's not going to interfere with us because that would be a crime.
Yeah.
That would be a crime, which, of course, for Zoran Mondani wouldn't really be a big deal because, turns out he lied on his citizenship test. But that's not really the point. The historic wins continue to mount up. And what the radical left doesn't understand is that President Trump is going to keep doing his thing. He's going to keep winning. He's going to keep trusting the plan. Over the course of time, deportations, tariffs are good for this nation. So much so that I love everything about this. CNBC. I've been showing you guys a lot of CNBC over the course of the last several days. One, making fun of Andrew Ross Sorkin for being an elitist asshole. But the other guy, whose name I don't know actually, he decided that when Andrew Ross Sorkin led Hakeem Jeffries onto the channel to spew his complete and utter nonsense, he fact-checked him in real time. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey everyone, sorry to barge in like this, but I do want to talk to you about this opportunity for 45% off of everyday dose coffee. And this isn't just your regular coffee, folks. If you're like me, you love your coffee routine.
Actually, we're going to cut Jeremy off real quick. We are getting footage of Trump and Putin together. We're going to throw to that real quick. Here's President Trump and Putin.
Shot here. Look at this right here. But the shot is a little bit bad. But let's just listen in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much. Let's go. Come on, guys. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad.
Why did President Trump trust your word now?
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Everybody get out of the room! Thank you, press.
Well, now you are seeing really the wild and chaotic situation, how it plays.
All right, well, I guess we're gonna get I guess we'll get a little bit more of that as the press is mushed out of the room there. I got a feeling we're going to be throwing back and forth to this summit throughout the course of the day. I'm sure after they talk, they'll do some kind of joint press conference. So make sure you keep it locked in here. Rumble.com/LFATV for all of that. You know what? Why don't we try that again? Here's Jeremy.
Hey everyone, sorry to barge in like this, but I do want to talk to you about this opportunity for 45% off of everyday dose coffee. And this isn't just your regular coffee, folks. If you're like me, you love your coffee routine. I've loved my coffee routine since I was probably 16 years old. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, some of the coffee that I love doesn't love me back and does cause bloating, does cause jitters, can only drink so much a day, and there's really only so much I could do with it. Now, everyday dose is known as coffee plus benefits. And what I mean by that, folks, is A, there is an ingredients booklet in there that gives you a ton of different recipes on how to make cold brew coffees of all different kinds, lattes, different hot coffees, and more. But the greatest thing about Everyday Dose is it is known as coffee plus benefits, meaning that you're going to have 100% Arabica coffee, and you're going to also have lion's mane, chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics that keep your brain focused. No jitters, no heart palpitations, and a ton of different recipes. And you're going to get a frother, a tumbler, a box set with a bunch of different gifts in it, an ingredients booklet for recipes, coffee, and more for only $27, folks. 45% off by going to everydaydose.com/LFATV. That's everydaydose.com/LFATV. Why not expand your experiences with coffee? That's everydaydose.com/LFATV.
So as I said, Hakeem Jeffries decided he was going to go on CNBC to just bash Donald Trump and all of his and continue to spew his ridiculous nonsense. And the other guy, I don't know, I forgot what his name is. The guy who's on with Andrew Ross Sorkin. He wasn't having it. Watch the liberal on the show allow Hakeem Jeffries to just utter complete nonsense and then get fact-checked in real time.
For the last several months, the Democratic Party, for the most part, has been publicly suggesting that because of these tariffs, that the economy was going to falter, that there was going to be a massive recession. And for whatever reason, that has not happened. And I'm curious why you think that hasn't happened, and whether you think it was a mistake to be as critical as you have been.
Donald Trump promised on day one that costs were going to go down. Costs haven't gone down. They've gone up. What we have seen, in fact, is job creation go down almost to record low levels. And so there is reason to believe that the economy is not moving in the right direction. The erratic tariff policies have created a great deal of uncertainty in the business environment, and uncertainty, of course, doesn't allow for the type of explosive economic growth that we will all like to see here in the United States of America.
And are you surprised that the tariffs haven't had a bigger impact on prices, for example?
I think it remains to be seen where this is headed. I'm deeply concerned that the tariffs are going to exacerbate the inflationary challenges that we already have in the United States of America, the affordability issues that we have in the United States of America, particularly as it relates to consumer goods that are going to be important to the American people as folks prepare to send their children back to school.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know about deflation and costs coming down. All I can tell you is that the inflation rate itself was 2.7% in the most recent read year over year, versus it got to a high of 9% under Biden. Stocks are at record highs. Unemployment is 4.2%. That's full employment. The GDP was 3%. The border is actually secure. We've got trade deals with EU, Japan, many more in the works, and trillions of dollars of foreign investment coming here. Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back indefinitely. And I just wrote down a few things. So I just have to ask you, where is the calamity that you're talking about. And it almost seems like for Democrats, socialism is the answer to these problems. Or, I don't know, an end of democracy or something? We just don't get it.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what we stand for, Joe. It's pretty clear. As Democrats, we believe in a strong floor and no ceiling.
What the hell does that mean? A strong floor and no ceiling. You're the ones who want to tax people based on their race. You're the ones who want to tax people based on how successful they are. You're the ones who want to tax. All you believe in is a ceiling. And it turns out when you provide people with a floor, you also have the power to take that floor away from them, Hakeem Jeffries. That's probably why people see you as one of the worst Democrats in Congress. Now, there are a few other really, really awful Democrats in Congress, but very soon they won't be in Congress. And, of course, one of them is Mr. Keep Your Pimp Hand Strong, Al Green, who walks around with his pimp cane all day like he's somebody special. Before we get to that, Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. Look, getting a ceasefire in Ukraine is not easy. But do you know what is? Switching banks over to Old Glory. I did it, and you guys can do it too. So head on over to oldglorybank.com and lock in those interest rates before Jerome Powell either loses his job or smartens up. I'm not really sure which one of those will come first, but we shall see, guys. oldglorybank.com. So as I said, look, we've been talking about this Texas thing for a while with the redistricting, but that is not the only place where there will be Republican redistricting. And Steve Kornacki over at NBC actually does a great breakdown of what could come of the redistricting in the great state of Texas and which Democrats in Texas could be most vulnerable. Now, look, I know, many of you want to see Jasmine Crockett knocked out of the race, knocked out of Congress, but it's probably not going to happen. But we are going to lose one real bad one, and that would be Pimp Hand Al Green, or as we call him, Timu Sharpton.
As we mentioned, the fight in Texas is brewing over the new congressional map proposed by Republicans that they hope will help them gain up to 5 seats in the House in the 2026 midterms. Well, joining me now from the big board is NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. Steve, so good to have you here. How might the proposed redistricting map in Texas affect the balance of power in the House?
Yeah, well, you mentioned those 5 seats that Republicans are aiming for here. Look, the proposal has not been enacted. It might change, but I think it shows you here at least what their goal is. 2513 is the delegation right now from Texas. This proposed map from Republicans, if you just filled in each district based on the presidential election result last year, Trump Republican or Harris Democrat, it would give Republicans a 30-8 advantage from the Texas delegation. Now, actually getting all 5 of those, though, might be complicated under this plan a little bit, at least for Republicans. Let me show you this. These are the 5 districts Republicans are after with this proposed redraw. And there are 2 different things happening here. Start with these three that I'm going to circle right here. The 35th district, the 9th district, and the 32nd district. In these three, what you are seeing here is just sort of a wholesale redraw of each district, geographically, demographically, a transformed district. All of these overwhelming Democratic districts currently represented by Democrats, they would become double-digit Trump districts. Likely then the question would be with these Democratic incumbents, do they go try to seek re-election in other nearby districts? So these could be three almost gimme pickups for Republicans here. Then the other two, Henry Cuellar is the Democratic incumbent in the 28th district. Vicente Gonzalez is the Democratic incumbent in the 34th district. The changes in these districts were more minor. You can see here Cuellar, a Democrat, had just won re-election last year in a district that went for Trump by 7 points. Under this redraw, this district, this is in the Laredo area, South Texas, gets more Republican by 3 points. But again, Cuellar was able to win with Trump winning this district by 7. It becomes a district Trump would have won by 10. Cuellar certainly would still be competitive in that district. So this would not be automatic for Republicans. A wild card here, too. Henry Cuellar, a more moderate conservative Democrat, especially on the border, has some particular appeal in that district. He's facing federal bribery charges. Will he even be a candidate come 2026? That's a big wild card. But certainly if he is in this district, this redraw doesn't rule him out of winning that at all. And also Gonzalez here, Vicente Gonzalez in the 34th district. Again, Rio Grande Valley. He won last year in a district that voted for Trump by 4 points. It becomes a district that would have voted for Trump by 10. That certainly puts him in grave jeopardy if this is the district he ends up running in. But again, the fact that he could win here means he certainly would have a shot to win here, especially in a midterm environment. Nationalize this. Again, we talk about these three districts here that have gone, that under this plan would go from solidly Democratic to solidly Republican. What that means is we have this count here. There are currently 13 Democrats around the country in districts that were won by Trump last year. These are places Republicans want to play offense in 2026. Those three that they're completely redrawing, we just showed you in Texas, would bring that count up to 16. So Republicans could now potentially be playing offense in 16 districts. And don't forget, Gabe, there's certainly a possibility what we're seeing in Texas could play out soon in Ohio, with Republicans trying to do the same thing here. And Republicans could potentially bring this number of 16 up to, say, 18, maybe 19, if they were able to get a redraw, the redraw they're looking for there. So the net effect here for Republicans, if they get a map like this out of Texas, it lets them play offense next year in places they weren't originally going to, and they can afford, Republicans can afford a net loss of no more than 2 House seats. So anything they can pick up from Democrats is huge for them.
You know, Steve
Kornacki doing a great job breaking down exactly what redistricting could look like if Ohio and Texas were to do it. Now, of course, there are threats coming out from New York and California about doing the exact same thing. There's also threats in Florida about doing the exact same thing, although I'm not sure how many they could pick up in Florida, considering we have all the best ones from Florida: Anna Paulina Luna, Byron Donalds, Corey Mills. I'm sure I'm missing some people. I have no doubt that I'm missing some of them, but we've got some of the best ones down in Florida. So let's see who else Governor DeSantis can roll out in Congress for that one. But one person who may not be in elected office for much longer would, of course, be pencil neck himself, Adam Schiff. The growing calls for him to resign from the Senate, not because of his mortgage fraud scandal, but because these leaked documents seem to prove that he is the one who okayed this nonsense Russia investigation to be sent out to the press.
Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information in order to discredit President Trump, and the White House is giving its first reaction.
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal. I have a quote from the FBI director. For years, certain officials used their positions to selectively leak classified information to shape political narratives. It was all done with one purpose, to weaponize intelligence and law enforcement for political gain. Those abuses eroded public trust in our institutions. The FBI will now lead the charge with our partners at DOJ and Congress.
Iowa Congresswoman Marionette Miller-Meeks joins me now to react. Congresswoman, good morning to you. If true, how serious of an offense is this, and what can be done?
Well, it certainly is very serious, and Shifty Adam Schiff is justifying his name that he was given. Leaking classified information, as you know, is a serious offense, and it will be up to the Oversight Committee, Judiciary Committee, in order to handle this. But this is a very serious allegation. I've asked for Senator Schiff to resign. He should resign immediately.
I mean, I can't believe it took her that long to get to that sentence. But people are calling on old Shifty Schiff to leave the Senate. Now, we know he never will. We know he never will because he's one of the most arrogant people on planet Earth. But you know what? Let's keep making the calls. Let's keep doing what needs to be done. I showed you guys that Steve Kornacki clip earlier. Look, 2026 is right around the corner, and I don't really care where it is you live. I'm going to say it every day on this show until people get the message that you need to get involved. You need to volunteer your time. You need to get involved in local races. If you live in a place that is all Republican, find one near you that isn't and get involved. If not, then you're just somebody complaining on the internet. And there's nothing I hate more than those people. Nothing I hate more than those people. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be running into a certain somebody over the course of the next weekend to discuss what can be done. You guys might know who she is. She's the current House Conference Chairwoman, next governor of New York, Elise Stefanik, who has now called on Pam Bondi to launch a full investigation into Letitia James and her terrorist financing in a new explosive scandal. Oh, yeah, that's right. See, what happens when you get involved, what happens when you keep pushing the needle, when you never accept where you are. This is not a win. We have to keep pushing because that's what Democrats do. This from the Post-Millennial. GOP Conference Chairwoman Elise Stefanik has called on the U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi to open a full investigation into Standard Chartered Bank and to scrutinize New York Attorney General Letitia James' complicity with the billion-dollar terrorist financing scandal. Of course, this bothers me because Standard Chartered Bank is the main sponsor of Liverpool Football Club, which I'm a huge fan of. House Republican Chairwoman Elise Stefanik's urgent letter to Pam Bondi comes on the heels of a bombshell Gateway Repugnant report into the Standard Chartered Bank sanctions evasion case. Now before the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals, the case covers at least $9.6 billion in illegal payments by the bank to Iranian and Hezbollah entities. Payments that directly violate the U.S. Treasury sanctions and undermine national security. These transactions were allegedly concealed from mandatory disclosures under a deferred prosecution agreement overseen by the Southern District of New York and the U.S. Attorney General's office. Even more disturbing, the case implicates I don't know why that was so hard. New York Attorney General Letitia James and the Federal Reserve for ignoring the billions in illicit transactions and failing to enforce sanctions already designated by the U.S. Treasury. These payments were hidden by Standard Chartered Bank from required disclosures in its ongoing deferred prosecution under the jurisdiction of DCUSA Piro and SDNY Clayton. Were both briefed on the scandal after their appointments. There are career blockers at each jurisdiction. I don't know what the hell that means. Apparently, earlier, the Attorney General was briefed by the terrorist financing experts and whistleblowers in detail on the illicit payments, yet did nothing about it other than remove their annual license. That's not unacceptable. That's just completely unacceptable. And we're starting to see Elise Stefanik really jump into the governor's race in a very serious way. And every day she continues to make more and more gains on Kathy Hochul. We'll get to that in 1 second before we do Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% of everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. Elise Stefanik, who has been front and center in pushing a lot of what the right wing wants, continuing to push and never stopping. And so much so that we're seeing her make incredible gains in the governor poll against Kathy Hochul. Now, look, she's not up. She's not up, but she's a hell of a lot closer than she was just a couple of months ago. Although New York Governor Kathy Hochul does lead in the polls when matched up against Elise Stefanik, the GOP favorite in the race is closing the gap between her and the incumbent governor, according to a new CNN report. 53% of New Yorkers in the poll said if it was Hochul. 53% of New Yorkers in the poll said that if faced with Hochul on the upcoming gubernatorial ticket, they would want somebody else to win. In a hypothetical head-to-head between Stefanik and Hochul, Hochul trailed the governor by 14 points. In June, she was down by 23 points, picking up 9 points in, 2 months? Around half of voters from the poll said they were familiar with Stefanik. Quote, while the governor can trumpet her best job approval rating since April of 2023, there is little doubt that Stefanik will highlight that more than half a year from a potential matchup, Hochul's lead over Stefanik is only 14 points, down from 23 points in June, and that Hochul doesn't hit the magic mark of 51%, said CNN pollster Stephen Greenberg. More than 2/3 of Democrats are with Hochul, and 3/4 of Republicans are with Stefanik. Independents are closely divided, leaning towards Stefanik after favoring Hochul in June, which will be something very important for us to tap into. Alex DeGrasse, the executive director of Elise for Congress, and good friend of mine, told the Post Millennial the latest Siena poll is catastrophic for Kathy Hochul as she is losing independent voters to Elise Stefanik. She's below 50% on the ballot and only 35% want her reelected. Voters are increasingly looking to Stefanik to deliver new leadership, and somebody out there should check the letter to the editor that was sent by a really handsome guy in a bunch of our local newspapers. Said the exact same thing. Kind of weird. Stefanik had been teasing a run for New York gubernatorial race for some time and has seemingly consolidated the GOP field if she officially announces in the race in November of this year. Mike Lawler announced last month that he would not seek the governor's seat, even though nobody asked him for it. That wasn't in the article. I added that. Hochul, despite Stefanik gaining ground in the incumbent, brushed off the poll, saying, "This is my 16th election. I've been through countless polls. It's her 16th election. Yeah, we don't really need her anymore." Stefanik's War Room posted, in light of the poll, it's simple. The worst governor in America. Polls are dropping like a rock. Kathy Hochul is out of control with their bloated spending as a result of a $34 billion budget cap. So much so that I want to be clear. If you live in an expensive place in New York, it's going to get a lot more expensive. As a matter of fact, somebody told me this just the other day, that based on her new budget, you ready for this? Your local municipality is going to have to spend 12% more just on operating costs based on the insurance and the rest of the unfunded mandates that people like Governor Kathy Hochul are forcing on local municipalities. They're forcing them on local municipalities so that you get pissed off at them and not the governor for their unfunded mandate. And that has to be yelled from the high heavens in front of every camera on planet Earth. So if your taxes go up, it's not your local representatives doing it. It is Governor Eyebrows up there in Albany. Luckily, well, actually not luckily, awfully, I have to be in Albany this weekend, the worst city in America. I'm only kidding. Not really. It's just really cold there. It's even cold in the summer. DeGrasse added in his comments to the Post-Millennial, Chairwoman Stefanik will continue to focus on providing results such as delivering the largest middle-class tax cut in American history. Kathy Hochul's failed bail reform policies and dangerous sanctuary city policies hurt New Yorkers. Excellent job, Alex. Excellent job, Alex. So we got a couple more stories before we wrap up for the day. Before we get to that, guys, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over to LFA-TV. We need that now more than ever. Need that now more than ever. That's lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. Also, if you are somebody who lives in New York and you're thinking about leaving, please don't. We need your vote in 16 months. Okay? Stop making my job even harder than it has to be. Hazel Kitty, Albany's always cold. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. It's always cold. It's always cold. So we're going to laugh about a couple of things towards the end of the show today. You guys remember on yesterday's show, I showed you that lady on CNN that said that Donald Trump hadn't actually solved any wars and it was just all propaganda. We showed you John Bolton and his ridiculous mustache saying that Donald Trump hadn't actually done anything. Do I have that John Bolton clip? Do I still have it? Do I still have that strange-looking man? Let's see. Do I have John Bolton? Yeah. No. I guess I'm not gonna force you guys to sit through John Bolton. Or do I? Give me 1 second. Do I? I'll find it at some point. Yeah, so John Bolton went on TV and said that President Trump hadn't actually solved any wars, hadn't actually done anything. Of course, I don't know why we're still putting John Bolton on television in the first place, but, hey, I guess we got to keep going back to the well. Well, here it is. Here we go. John Bolton saying that President Trump hadn't actually solved any wars.
You've been highly critical, obviously, of Trump's foreign policy generally, and specifically on this case. Does he deserve some credit, though? He's had a string of what seemed to be legitimate foreign policy successes. You had the Azerbaijan-Armenia deal that was announced at the White House. He helped broker the agreement between Congo and Rwanda to stop the fighting there. He also helped to broker the agreement between Cambodia and Thailand. I mean, they're talking Nobel Peace Prize. I don't expect you to endorse the Nobel Peace Prize for Trump, but doesn't he deserve some credit for all of this?
Well, I don't think what he has done materially changes the situations in any of those circumstances or several others he's mentioned, like Pakistan, India, where the Indians, not just the government, the entire country, are outraged that he tried to take credit for that. In Thailand, Cambodia, he simply threatened tariffs. If they didn't sign a deal, they've signed a deal. Nothing has changed. And the real kicker in Azerbaijan, Armenia was the Russians.
Goes on TV and says that President Trump hasn't actually stopped any wars. Well, John Bolton, I know the only time that mustache moves is when a third world country gets bombed or Lindsey Graham sits on your lap. But it turns out yesterday a bunch of monks from Cambodia went out in public and thanked President Trump for stopping the war. You know, the war that John Bolton said wasn't happening.
Dear Mr. President Trump, we are standing here today with hearts full of appreciation.
Who had this on their bingo card? A bunch of monks standing in the street in Cambodia with signs of Donald Trump.
For your instrumental role in bringing about the recent ceasefire between Cambodia and Thailand. The border conflict, which had escalated recently, caused immense sufferings and instability for the people of both nations. Your diplomatic engagement and visionary intervention were critical in de-escalating tension and facilitating a truce. Your commitment to promoting peace and stability for Cambodia and Thailand is deeply commendable. The ceasefire...
I'm not going to make you sit through the rest of that because, that accent's just really funny. But it turns out all the Democratic consultants and warmongers like John Bolton saying Donald Trump hasn't actually done anything except for the fact that the people who live in the place that he stopped the war in are going out of their way to thank him for stopping the war in the country they live in. But John Bolton can't get an erection unless he bombs a third world village. So, Trump's not really doing anything. He's not really doing anything. I don't know why he's getting any credit. Guys, look, we got about a minute and a half left. Make sure you keep it locked in here to LFA TV all day. We're going to be bringing you guys all the updated Trump-Russia stuff in Alaska. But before we check out for the day, I'm really excited about something that's coming out on Netflix. It turns out Netflix is making a new documentary about Jussie Smollett and his entire scandal. Actor Jussie Smollett is speaking out on the 2019 hate crime hoax, insisting his account has never changed and portraying himself as the victim of a conspiracy involving Chicago officials. The villains are the two people who assaulted me, the Chicago Police Department, and if I may be so brave, the mayor of Chicago, Smollett told Variety, referencing former Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Smollett is attempting to revive his career with a Netflix documentary titled The Truth About Jussie Smollett, set to debut on August 22nd. The film includes an interview with the former Empire star, where he reiterates his claim that he was attacked by two masked Trump supporters who shouted racist and homophobic slurs and put a noose around his neck and poured bleach on him. Smollett suggested the city turned against him to distract from other scandals. I gotta tell you, guys, I'm so excited about this. I cannot wait to watch this. I know people are gonna say, don't watch it, don't give him the time. No. I'm watching every second of it, and it's going to be majestic. I'm watching every second of it, and it's going to be spectacular. Guys, Pete Santilli is queued up. I will catch you guys back live on Monday. Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay loud.